traded for Jimmy Butler, as we all know, at the deadline. And since they have traded for Jimmy Butler, the Golden State Warriors are 6-1. Jimmy Butler has been very good on the Warriors so far. They were minus 90 before the trade with Steph Curry off the floor. Now they are plus 30 plus 30 after when Steph isn't on the floor anymore. And Steph acknowledged at the trade deadline as well to Draymond Green that this could be their last ride, which is sad to think about. But so this is kind of a trade that was a last ditch effort to see what we can do to stay competitive, and we'll see if it works out for them. But as of right now, the Warriors are the 8th seed, 31-27, 1 game back of the 6th seed. But of course, that little area is just like
it's
10 games from now, it's gonna be all fucked up. So just kind of want to get your 2 cents on what you're seeing from Jimmy Butler in Golden State. If you like the fit, I mean, they're 6-1, so there's definitely it's a good fit so far. It's working. Do you think this is sustainable? Do you think the Warriors can carry this momentum into the playoffs and potentially make a deep run, or do you think this is just they're better, but they're not, still not good enough to do all that?
Yeah. Honestly, I'm kind of intrigued. I think if I had to choose the most interesting team at this point in the season, it's definitely the Warriors. I don't really know what they're going to look. I know that's not a sufficient answer, but I don't have a sense for where they could finish at. I do think they're going to make the postseason. I do think, hell, they could possibly even make it into the playoffs outright without having to go through the play-in process, because they are really that good. I think Jimmy Butler kind of gives them this new wrinkle where you have another genius and another plug-and-play kind of star. Is he Kevin Durant? No. But he's like Kevin Durant in senses where you don't need to give me the ball. I'll go within the flow of the offense and find my own.
Yeah.
There's this play that they played back a few times when I was watching the game where Draymond set this off-ball screen for Steph. And once Jimmy started kind of moving towards Steph to get the ball, 2 defenders go. And Draymond gets an easy cutaway dunk. It's the gravity of a star caliber player and what they mean for a team that opens up the offense for everybody else. So Buddy Hield's getting easier looks now. And Draymond Green's getting easy slash to the basket. Pods, everybody benefits off with the Jimmy gravity. So I do kind of like them sneaking into this postseason. Again, I don't know where. If they go through the play-in, I would love to see them as an 8th seed and take on the OKC Thunder. And we talked about this in the last segment, to where we don't trust OKC all the way, even though we should pick them to beat the Warriors.
That would be quite the test for them in the first round.
A 4-time NBA champion organization with this era of guys, their last dance, if you will. It should be interesting, but now
Jimmy Butler never winning a ring either, so that motivation. Oof. Playoff Jimmy Butler. We all know what he's capable of in the playoffs, even at his older age. He's still we know that he can light up some teams. I mean, At this point, I think in the West, I think we have our 10 teams that are going to be at least in the play-in, because Phoenix is the 11th seed, and then you have Portland, San Antonio, New Orleans, Utah. Maybe Phoenix is the only team out of that 5 that can still sneak in, but they're 2.5 games out. Right. A lot needs to go right, and a lot needs to go wrong for the teams ahead of them, like the Kings, the Mavericks, the Warriors, and Timberwolves, who are the 4 teams. But the Clippers are the 6th seed, and they're tied with the Timberwolves. So it's there's only 2 games separating the 6th and the 10th seed. So that could all be it's absolutely wild. I will say, when they got Jimmy Butler, I looked at this trade as they're doing something to do something. They're desperate for a star, as we heard.
We're both on record saying that.
100%. And in a way, I still stand by it, because it's Jimmy Butler wasn't even their first op. Well, maybe he was. There was a whole lot of stuff, going into it. He didn't even want to go there, but then they end up. Who knows if that was their first option or not? I would think that someone else. Kevin Durant was their first option, right? So it's they still did it because it was on the table, and they felt like they needed to make a move, and they did need to make a move. So they took a risk, and it seems to be working out. Jimmy Butler is an interesting character. We've talked about him on the podcast before, different situations he's been in, and how his relationships with other teams has kind of soured, whether it was because of the organization itself, he plays a part in it, a little bit of both, whatever it may be. So it's like Golden State trades for this guy, give him $120 million. He hasn't even stepped on the floor for you yet. It's like, this might not even work out. Kudos to them. They're 6-1. They're looking solid. Jimmy Butler is like, if he's bought in, he's bought in. Jimmy Butler went to a team that he knows he's not going to be the number one guy on or the face of the franchise, and he accepted that. And I think that's a huge step for him. And, with this team going far, is that him being able to, take a step to the side and be like, this isn't my team. I can help out Steph Curry in a million different ways, and I can still get mine by doing that, but I'm not going to be, the focal point. I'm not going to be the guy that the defenses are crashing towards. So I'm encouraged. I definitely think that they are, looking like a playoff team. And like you said, I mean, it's all based off matchups when the playoffs start. Like, they could catch an OKC team. They could catch a Grizzlies or the Rockets, two younger teams. And it's like, at that point, even if the Warriors are a younger, not younger, a lower seed than a Houston, I might favor Golden State in that series. So it'll be interesting to see how things play out the rest of the season and like the play-in and stuff. But I feel better about Golden State, a lot better about them now than before the deadline, before they got Butler. So kudos to them.
I think I've seen Jimmy Butler say this somewhere too, where he said this is the best organization he's played for, and he's only played 7 games for them. But when I really think about it, every team that he's landed, the Minnesotas, the Phillies, the Miamis, each situation wasn't a championship culture that was instilled. Like, I know he went to Spo, who won his 2 titles and whatnot, but he was the guy. And there's not like there was already a culture there in place. You became the culture, a part of Heat culture. Like, obviously, I know Heat culture is a thing, but he became the face of that. Minnesota didn't know what the hell they were doing. Philly thought they had the process figured out, but they let his ass go.
Yeah.
So Jimmy Butler winds up in Golden State where, hey, we won 4 titles and you've played against our title teams. You know how good we were.
Right. And everybody knows everything. They have it structured. They have everything in place, like plug and play. If you buy into the system, then
you'll be successful.
It should work.
Yeah,
right. Now, do I think they're a championship contending team? I don't know if I'd put them on that pedestal, but at the same time, again, it's all based off matchups. If they find a road, I could say that about any team, but it's not impossible. It's not impossible.
It's just interesting to, like, when I think about that now, are said teams championship contenders? I did not have Dallas as a championship contender last year.
Mm-hmm.
So I'm kind of like, I don't know. They have Steph.
You never know.
They have Jimmy. They got Dre. Maybe they are.
And again, based off matchups, if you go up against a team that knocked out the number 1 seed the round before, it's like, you don't have to worry about going through that. It's a lot of things that happen along the way. But we'll talk more about the Warriors as the season comes to a close.